4 feet 11 and under the attraction edge. The women most likely to live the longest aren't the healthiest. They're the ones with the lowest levels of a single growth hormone, IGF-1. And here's the strange part. It's partially determined by your height. Now this sounds backwards, because the same signal that makes your body grow faster also makes it wear out faster. IGF-1 controls how quickly your cells divide, and faster division means more opportunities for tiny errors to stack up over time. That's aging. So when IGF-1 is lower, your body isn't accelerating, it's preserving. Less cellular turnover, less strain, less accumulated damage. And across research, the pattern is consistent. Smaller bodies tend to last longer. But this isn't just internal. It shows up in how your body moves through the world. Less joint stress, less daily load, less impact over time, which means across decades, you take less damage per day. Now here's where it becomes visible. The same traits slowing your body down make your signal easier to read. You've probably felt this. People respond to you with a certain kind of immediate softness. More open, less guarded. That's not personality. That's your brain using size as a shortcut. Smaller frame? Instantly read as safe. And alongside that, femininity. Across cultures, this range ranks highest in perceived femininity because the brain prefers clarity. And this is one of the clearest signals it can read. No confusion, no delay. You're understood instantly. A body that takes less damage, and a presence that gets processed faster than almost any other. Chosen faster, without needing to prove anything. If this is your range, you've likely noticed this, even if you didn't know why. But move just a couple inches up, and something shifts. The signal doesn't just attract anymore. It starts shaping interaction. 4 feet 11 to 5 feet 1. The trust accelerator. Some people don't build trust. They start with it. And if you've ever had someone open up to you way too fast, this is why. Because this range sits right at a transition point. You still carry the efficiency of a smaller frame, but now something new kicks in. You've crossed into the ergonomic sweet spot. The world fits you. Not just physically, socially. You move through spaces easily. But more importantly, you move through people easily. Think about this. Joining a group, starting a conversation, standing near strangers. You're rarely treated like an interruption. You're allowed in. That's not your behavior. That's a filter. Your brain, and everyone else's, is scanning for threat, and you don't trigger it, so there's no hesitation. Now here's where it gets interesting. Before your brain evaluates competence, it evaluates warmth. And once someone is labeled warm, everything they do lands better. Same words, better reaction. And people in this range, they often get that label instantly, which means trust doesn't build. It starts high. Conversations open faster, people share more, connections deepen quicker. And you've probably experienced this. 5 minutes in, and someone is telling you their life story. That's not random. That's the trust accelerator. You're not breaking the ice. You're stepping into conversations that are already open. Trusted faster, without needing to earn it. If this happens to you often, that's not personality. That's positioning. But move just slightly higher, and something subtle disappears. Not trust, not connection. Something quieter. Neutrality. 5 feet 2 to 5 feet 3. The invisible advantage. There's a height range where people stop making snap judgments, and most don't even realize it exists. This is it. Because right here, you sit in the brain's perceptual blind spot. Not too small, not too tall, just unclassified. Now, biologically, not much changes. You're still in a highly efficient zone. Lower strain, slower aging than taller frames. But the real shift isn't physical. It's psychological. Because once you leave the petite category, you lose automatic warmth, but you also avoid something else. Dominance. And that creates something rare. No preset label. Most people walk into a room already categorized. Too small leads to underestimated. Too tall leads to seen as dominant. But here, that filter barely activates. And this is where it flips. Because when people don't know what to expect, they pay attention, not to your height, to you. You're seen as capable, but not threatening. Competent, but easy to work with. Which means people listen more, collaborate more, stay engaged longer. Not because you stand out, but because you don't create resistance. That's the advantage. Influence without friction. And if you've ever felt like people underestimate you at first, but take you seriously once you speak, this is why. But move slightly higher, and something changes again. People stop waiting to interpret you. They decide instantly. 5'4" to 5'5", the social chameleon. There's a reason this height shows up more than any other, and it's not random. It's equilibrium, because this is where most trade-offs cancel out. Nothing extreme, nothing overcorrected, just balance. Now, biologically, this is the most stable zone. IGF-1 is moderate, strain is moderate, structure is balanced. Nothing is overworked, nothing is underbuilt. But here's what makes this range powerful. It's not the biology, it's the absence of signal. Because at this height, your brain doesn't rush to categorize. Too short? No. Too tall? No. So instead of being labeled, you're interpreted. And this is where it flips. Because when your body isn't deciding how you're perceived, you do. Your personality doesn't compete with your biology. It leads, which gives you something most people don't have. Control over first impressions. People aren't projecting assumptions onto you. They're waiting, watching, letting you define the narrative. Now layer in relationships. This is the most adaptable range. Shorter partner works, taller partner works. Same height, still works. No friction, no imbalance. And if you've ever felt like you can fit into almost any group, any environment, this is why. You're not constrained by perception. You're shaping it. That's the advantage. Adaptability at scale. But move just past this point, and something disappears. Not flexibility, not control, neutrality. 5'6" to 5'9". The presence advantage. At a certain point, height stops being a trait and starts becoming a signal. And this is where it happens. Because once you cross this threshold, people stop interpreting you slowly. They decide instantly. Now biologically, this is where things shift. You move away from efficiency and into output. Longer limbs, more leverage, greater stride. Your body is built for range. But here's what actually matters day to day. Perception. Because your brain uses height as a shortcut for status. Taller equals more capable, more dominant, more leader-like. Not always true, but incredibly consistent. Which means you don't start at zero. You start ahead. And this is where it compounds. Your ideas get taken more seriously. Your presence carries more weight. You don't have to prove competence the same way. And if you've ever noticed people assuming confidence in you, before you even speak, this is why. But here's the trade. This advantage isn't subtle, it's visible, which means it filters people faster. In work, in social settings, in relationships, you attract people who are comfortable with presence. The pool gets smaller, but sharper, more intentional, more certain. That's the advantage. Preloaded authority. But push this further, and presence stops influencing the room. It starts defining it. 6 feet and above, the signal amplifier. Some people don't enter a room. They're registered immediately, before they speak, before they move. And this is where that happens. Because at this height, nothing about you is neutral anymore. Everything is amplified. Now, biologically, this is the peak of physical advantage. Maximum leverage, maximum reach, maximum stride. Your body is built for performance, but here's the trade most people don't talk about. More structure means more load, more stress on joints, more long-term wear. The system that performs the most also requires the most maintenance. Now, psychologically, this is where things intensify, because your brain doesn't just notice you. It prioritizes you. You're not being interpreted. You're being registered instantly, which creates something rare, unavoidable presence. You don't signal authority. You start with it. And that changes everything. People remember you, adjust around you, respond before you act. And here's where it becomes selective. Not everyone is comfortable with that level of presence. So the pool narrows, but it sharpens. The people who engage with you do so intentionally. And if you've ever felt impossible to ignore, even when you try to be, this is why. That's the advantage. Maximum signal, maximum impact. And at that point, you're not adapting to the environment anymore. You are the environment. So whether your biology is optimized for the long game of survival or the immediate impact of presence, your height isn't just a measurement. It's your evolutionary strategy. And if you want more, watch the next video on screen.